Hello. It's good to see you. Today we are going to be making a casserole. It's always exciting when you get to make a casserole. Well, it's exciting for me because when I was growing up, we never had casseroles. I had heard of casseroles. I had seen them on TV shows back in the 70s and 80s. I never had one because we would eat whatever my dad liked to eat, and my dad hates casseroles. I've never seen him consume anything from a casserole dish. He just hates casseroles. So my mom never made any. And so I didn't actually get to try a casserole until I was older and like spent time elsewhere at other people's houses. That's when I finally got to have a casserole, and I was so excited because I'm like, oh, it's the stuff from TV. And it was almost like it was exotic, which is really sad, but that was the way it was. So in case you can't tell from the colors that I'm wearing, we're doing a Mardi Gras Cajun cornbread ground beef casserole. I'm going to put the link to the recipe in the description and in a pinned comment. Now this is from a website that I'm not familiar with. It's called 30seconds.com. And I guess they teach you to do things in 30 seconds. I don't know what else they can teach you to do in 30 seconds, but I haven't explored that. This is the food section. So we have this recipe and I've printed it out. So first of all, I needed it to have the list of the items so I could go shopping yesterday and buy everything. And also that way I have something to go by. Now, one of the things I like to do in these cooking videos is to show you basic, simple recipes that anybody could make. I try to find recipes that have simple ingredients that are easy to find. They're not hard to prepare. You know, it doesn't have a bunch of complicated steps to it. This particular recipe, it only has 3 steps. 3 numbered little things that you have to do to make this casserole, and it looks so simple. And that's one of the things I like about casseroles is they're very easy to make. They don't take a lot of time, and there's a wide variety of different types you can make. You can find breakfast casseroles, all kinds of side dishes, dessert casseroles. I mean, just anything you're looking for, there's a recipe for it somewhere. It's kind of like porn. Like there's something for everybody. So I try to find things that are easy to make for people who are not comfortable with cooking or baking, because I can relate. Growing up, I didn't learn how to cook anything. Everything I've learned, I've had to learn just on my own, just by trying it. And it was kind of intimidating. And sometimes, you know, I think when things are intimidating, we don't do it. Like, I'm not gonna do that. So when I do these, I try to find recipes that they look pretty simple. You could totally do this, and I'm going to show you what you need to do it. So I'm going to tell you about it. So this is a Mardi Gras casserole, and we have a little description here, and it says the flavorful casserole recipe is made with ground beef, cornbread mix, onion, diced tomatoes, frozen mixed vegetables, tomato paste, Cajun seasoning, and shredded cheddar cheese. And it's a budget recipe, and it could be like a complete dinner. It has a little bit of everything in it. It could be like a whole meal, or it could be a side dish. Either way. Okay. So it says that the prep time is 10 minutes. Cook time is 40 minutes, so a total of 50 minutes. And this makes 6 servings. Now you do want to look at the serving sizes when you get ready to do a recipe, and keep that in mind for, you know, if say you're preparing it to take to a big get together. Like this is going to a small gathering, so I don't have to make a lot. I'm just going to make this one casserole that makes 6 servings. I mean, you could double it and make more if you wanted to. But like say I was taking it to my family reunion, one of them, I have 2 every year. If I were taking it to one of those, I would definitely double it because there were going to be a lot of people. I want to make sure I have plenty. So I would get out a couple of casserole dishes and make 2. I would double this recipe because it is only 6 servings. So you want to keep in mind how many servings you have, because you could end up with way too much or not enough when you're done. Now for this, it does say that you need an 11 by 7 baking dish. Well, for this event, this Mardi Gras party, I want to be able to leave the dish there because I'm not staying for the whole thing. So I want to be able to just leave it. So I went out and got these. Now these are great. You can buy these aluminum pans in all different sizes. And look, they even come with the lid. You have this clear plastic lid back here. And they come in all different sizes. This is actually 2, so I'll have one left over for whatever. I'll probably use it for one of the upcoming family reunions to make something, and that way I don't have to take a nasty casserole dish home. Of course, I'll probably have one to take home anyway, but I could use this to make a cake or something. I don't know, something. I have to show you the picture on the front of this. It just infuriated me when I saw it. Like, why would you make that the picture to go on your aluminum pan? And I said, I have to show them this picture. Okay, so these pans are from Reynolds Kitchens. You can get 2 of these with the lids for about $5 at Walmart. I think it was $4.98. But you do get 2, and you get 2 lids, so that's not too bad. Imagine you made a chocolate cake. You made a cake and you took it somewhere. And you came back later and you saw somebody had cut your cake like this. Why? Why would you cut it like that? That just, oh my God, what a picture. Yeah, just cut a hunk out of the middle. That's fine. Yeah, anyway. I'm going to be using one of these. Now, it did say 11 by 7. I couldn't find an 11 by 7. These are 12 3/4 inches by 9. So it's bigger, but it's just going to have to do. Now, also, if you're making this to take somewhere, don't forget the spoon or spatula. Make sure you bring something to serve it with. Now, I bought 2 of these at Dollar Tree. They came in a pack of 2. One has holes in it, one does not. I'm just going to take this one. And that way, there's something to serve with. You don't expect somebody else to provide a spoon or a spatula or whatever. You want to make sure you bring something. And I can leave this behind. I'm not worried about it, you know. And again, I have one left over. I can take it with me to the reunion with whatever. And so, yeah, these are great. So these are $1.25, and you get 2 of them. You get a solid one and one with holes in it. So I thought I would go with the solid one for this. Actually, it would probably depend on the consistency of it. If it's super firm, a spatula might have been better, but a spoon is fine. So what do you need to make a Mardi Gras casserole? Well, I'm going to tell you. The first thing you need is 1 8.5-ounce package of cornbread mix. Now, I do live in the South, and we do like our cornbread. Now, some people make cornbread with sugar, and some don't. I grew up in a home where there was no sugar in the cornbread. In fact, the first time I ever had cornbread with sugar in it, I was an adult, and I was in a restaurant. And my first thought was, something has gone horribly wrong. What is this? Is it cornbread or cake? Because it tastes like cake. Why did they put sugar in it? I thought it had to be a mistake. I wasn't even aware that people put sugar in cornbread. But some people do, but not everybody. Like I say, I was an adult before I ever had it that way. I didn't know anybody did it that way. That didn't have anything to do with this. I just thought I would share. So when I was looking at cornbread mixes at Walmart last night, I discovered there are a ton of them. There are dozens of different brands of cornbread mix, different flavors, different brands. Oh my goodness. Well, it said 8.5 ounces. And I happened to notice that the Jiffy corn muffin mix is 8.5 ounces. So I kind of figured this is what they were talking about. Oh yeah, little man. So I got this adorable little box. Look, it's America's favorite. They make a bunch of different mixes. Jiffy does. Quality and value since 1930. Now you do have to add egg and milk to this. So it's not something you just add water to it. You know, you have to add other things. And they tell you on the front of the box what else you're going to need to make it. So since this was 8.5 ounces, I figured this was probably the cornbread mix they were talking about. Because every other mix I saw was like way bigger. It was a bigger, box. I mean, it's fine. I don't think it matters. I think you can use whatever you want. It does say corn muffin mix. Same thing. Cornbread. So you need an 8.5 ounce box of cornbread mix, 1 pound of ground beef. Now this recipe does not specify what type of ground beef. If you haven't cooked or used ground beef before, you might not know that there are different percentages as far as how lean the ground beef is. Now this is a pound of extra lean ground beef, 94% lean, or sorry, 96% lean, 4% fat. So that would be 96.4. And there's 80-20, the 97.3. There are different percentages of fat. Now some recipes will say to use a certain type of ground beef. And also if you want to substitute something like ground turkey or something like that, you might want to just read through the notes in the recipe to see if that will work. They may have some notes about substituting different types of ground meat for ground beef. But yeah, I got this. This is typically what I buy, is the extra lean ground beef if I can get it. Because I don't like the higher fat ground beef because you end up with all this grease and it seems like a lot of it just cooks away. I kind of feel like this is just better to work with. It's not so greasy and I just prefer it. Now it is more expensive than the higher fat ground beef. I just prefer it. So this is a lovely little 1 pound pack of extra lean ground beef from Walmart. I think most of this came from Walmart because that's just where I was last night. And then it started pouring down rain right before I checked out, and I had to run out in the rain, and I was very grouchy by the time I got everything in the car. So you need your pound of ground beef. You need a small onion diced. Now it didn't specify what kind of onion. This is just a plain old white onion. Fresh onions. Watson. I don't know who Watson is, but here's this onion. I was thinking of Wilson from Castaway. He kind of looks like Wilson. Well, I'm going to chop him up shortly. So you want to chop up. Now this is not exactly a small onion. They didn't say how small. I guess it's relative. But I'm just going to chop this up and we're going to chuck it in there and call it good. You can buy onions already diced in the store. There are tons of videos on YouTube about how to properly dice vegetables and chop vegetables. It's not hard. It just takes a little practice, and it is cheaper to buy them whole like this than to buy them already chopped. You will pay a premium for that convenience. I'm not the person to ask. I basically just kind of hack away at it until it looks small enough to go in whatever I'm cooking. That's why I don't show it, because it is not graceful at all. I do have a food processor. I could possibly do that. I probably just chop it with a knife. But this was the smallest onion I could find last night. This was the smallest. I looked through a giant stack of onions. This was the smallest. So that's my small onion. You need you're gonna also need 2 14-ounce cans of diced tomatoes, drained. And again, when you go to the store, you're gonna realize there's a lot of variety with diced tomatoes too. They have the kinds with no salt added. They have organic. They have different flavors like garlic and all. So it said 2 14-ounce cans. I went ahead and just got a 28-ounce can of just plain good, great value diced tomatoes. Picked and packed same day. Wow. So I'm just going to drain this, and we're just going to use that big old honking can right there. You also need 2 cups of frozen mixed vegetables, thawed. So I bought 2 bags of these. These are mixed vegetables from Great Value, and I just brought them home and I put them in the refrigerator so they could thaw overnight. I don't know, it's 12 ounces, but I need to be able to get 2 cups. These were only 98 cents. You can get these bags of mixed vegetables that has carrots, green beans, corn, and peas in it for 98 cents at Walmart in the frozen section. It's a very nice, and if you get the bigger bags, it's even cheaper per ounce. You can get it for even less. This is a great thing to add to all kinds of recipes to give you a little bit of extra, vegetables in your diet if you want to. And it's not terribly expensive at all. So it's just a nice option, and you can microwave it or you can cook it in a pot on the stovetop. It gives you instructions on the back for both. But with this, we're not going to be putting it in the microwave or anything. So they thawed overnight, so they're nice and thawed. I just went ahead and bought 2 bags, and whatever I have left over, I'll just throw into something. You also need a 6-ounce can of tomato paste. Now, tomato paste is not the same as tomato sauce. Now, you will see both if you are, looking for ingredients and you have to get tomato paste. Tomato paste and tomato sauce are different. The tomato paste is going to be thicker, and you can find them in these adorable little cans. Look at that little can. This is great value tomato paste, filled to can in 5 hours. That's impressive. So this is a little 6-ounce can of tomato paste. We're going to put that in there. Tomato paste is very thick. It's very concentrated. So to me, it has kind of a tangy, bitter taste to it. Like if you were to just taste it. We need 1 to 2 teaspoons of Cajun seasoning or to taste. I have this left over from a recipe I did last year. This is Tony's famous Creole seasoning. It's the anniversary edition. So I'm just going to put some of that in there. But you can use whatever you want to. 1 to 2 cups of shredded cheddar cheese. Another thing that you may or may not know whether you cook or not is that you can buy bags of shredded cheese. And I love shredded cheese in a bag. I use it all the time to put on salads or in my chili when I'm getting ready to eat it or whatever. When you're cooking though, the shredded cheese is coated with this stuff to help keep it from sticking together in the bag, which is great. But if you're putting it into something to cook it, that coating causes it to not really melt and get along with the other ingredients very well. Marty distracted me, my cat. He's out on the patio trying to catch a butterfly. Well, he didn't succeed, so he wanted to come inside. Okay, so when you're putting shredded cheese into a recipe, it does take more work, but it's actually better to get a block of cheese and just grate it yourself. It will cook better, it will melt better, it will blend better. So I don't buy bags of shredded cheese to go into recipes like this. I will just go ahead and get a block. So I'm going to have to grate 1 to 2 cups of shredded cheddar cheese. That's going to go over the top of our casserole when we get ready to bake it. And then whatever's left over, I'll just use it for something else. And then finally, we need green onions for garnish. We're going to chop up a little bit of green onion to go on the top. Now these green onions look sad, but it was the best I could find at Walmart last night. It's funny because when I started my job back in May, I remember this. Somebody had a little bundle of green onions like this in the refrigerator, in a bag like this, and they were kind of shoved in the back of the refrigerator in the office break room, and they stayed there for like 5 months. I watched them week by week just shrivel away to nothing until they were just little green strands, and this was all shriveled away, and it was just the saddest thing. It was like little withered pipe cleaners. And then finally one day I opened the refrigerator to put my lunch in there, and they had been removed. So they were put out of their misery. These look a little broken and disheveled, but we're going to clean them up and use them, and they're going to be great. They smell like springtime. It's very nice. One great thing about this recipe, now I don't see this very often, this recipe gives you a list of helpful products as well. So they give you the required ingredients. They also give you a list of helpful products. And these are great things for anybody if you're just starting to learn how to cook and you're looking for just basic tools. There's some great ones here. A recipe box, a cutting board, a chef knife, measuring cups, measuring spoons, a skillet, salt and pepper, baking dishes, a grater, airtight containers to put your leftovers in, and kitchen towels. That's really nice. We have a couple of notes too about this recipe. Ground turkey can be substituted for the ground beef, so you can do that. I guess pound for pound. If you don't have frozen mixed vegetables, chop up whatever fresh vegetables you enjoy and use them instead. And honestly, I think you can use the canned mixed vegetables. I mean, personally, I don't think they're as good. The flavor's not as good, but it's better. I mean, it'll work. If that's what you have, it'll work. You can buy, if you have some cans of mixed vegetables, you can put them in there. All right. The first thing that it tells us to do is that we need to prepare the cornbread mix according to the package instructions. Now we're going to prepare this, and it's going to go into the bottom of our dish, and that's going to be the first step. So let's go ahead and get our cornbread mix ready. All right, the first thing we're going to do is mix the cornbread mix according to the package instructions. And this is so easy to make. You can buy these little packages of corn muffin mix, and you can make cornbread with it too. And they're very inexpensive. It does say that you stir the ingredients together and the batter will be slightly lumpy. So that's okay. So you're going to need the package of mix, an egg, and 1/3 cup of milk. And after we get it mixed together, we'll be putting it into the bottom of the pan. But before we do that, I have to show you my mixing bowls. Look at these pretty things. Now, if you haven't seen these before, we look at these pretty much every time we cook anything. I love showing them off. I love the pretty colors. Look at that. Especially on a cloudy winter day like I'm having today. It's very pretty to see some nice colors. These, I found these at an antique store, but they're not antiques. They were just at the antique store for sale. Look at the speckles in there. Look at that. Makes me think of Easter candy. These are from Zak Designs, Z-A-K exclamation point. You can actually find these on Amazon, and they have different colors and different sets, kind of like this. They have this exact set. Now this is made out of that Melmac stuff, so you don't want to expose it to extremes of heat or cold. Like you don't want to leave them in the refrigerator or put them in the dishwasher. I wash these by hand, and I don't ever use them to store food in the refrigerator. I have other bowls for that. I just use these for mixing. So we have this small one here, this kind of a pinkish one. I don't know, I think the blue one is my favorite. I go back and forth. I can't decide which one I like best. This one just reminds me of a robin's egg, that blue. It really does. It's beautiful. So you can see they just nest inside of one another. We have this like a yellowish green bowl, and they all have these flecks. So here's the yellowish green, still has all the pretty colors, and the largest one is this orange one here. And I don't think we need one that big. I think honestly we could probably get away with the blue bowl, but I think we'll go with the green one. So we're going to use this one. And then another recent addition of mine are these little ceramic mixing cups that I got at Aldi. Look at this. We have 4 of them, and they're all different colors, kind of like the bowls. You have the little quarter cup. Here it's kind of a pale yellow. I got these for $5.99 at Aldi a little while ago. 1/3 cup. I do need this one for the milk, because we have to add 1/3 cup of milk and an egg to our muffin mix. The 1/2 cup is kind of a peachy color, kind of a salmon, pale salmon color. And the 1 cup I really like. It's made like a coffee cup, but it makes it easier to hold. So they give you a little handle, and each one has a little spout. That's really nice. I like that. So you have your little notched part where you can pour it out. So we don't need the cup, the 1 cup, 1/2 cup, or 1/4 cup. We're only going to need this one to put some milk in. And for my egg, you know, I like to put it in here. Everybody loves this container. I wish I could tell you who made it or where it came from. I actually don't know. I found this in a thrift store years ago. It's nice thick glass, and I'm sure it's for something else, but I use it to put eggs into things when we're making food. So I don't know where it came from. I've looked around online to try to find one like it, because people have asked what, you know, I would love one of those. Where'd you get it? But I got it at a thrift store, and I don't know who made it. So I'm going to clear this away, and then we will get ready to do the muffin mix. Okay, so I have my milk, and these little measuring cups show you, there's a little line that it shows you where to go to get your measurement. So let me just put that down. And I have the egg here. Now let's see. That's all we need. One package of the mix, one egg, and 1/3 of a cup of milk. Okay. When you go to open these little boxes, you'll notice there's a little perforated section here. It says press here and tear back. I think they're pretty much all that way. They even make little cake mixes and different types of muffin mixes. Sometimes you have to shop around for these Jiffy mixes because not every store sells them, but you will always find them in the baking section, and I think they're pretty good. I like them, and they're super easy. So again, if you're just learning how to cook, go check out the baking section and look for these little Jiffy mixes because these are great. They're inexpensive. They usually don't take too many ingredients, and just two, and they're yummy. It's really fun to make these. I like them. They're little, they're cute, and they're cheap. So check them out. All right, I'm going to pop this open. We'll get this in there. All right, so it comes in this little package inside the box. It smells kind of sweet. It may have some sugar in it. That's okay. Let me just put it in there. It has little lumps, but that's okay. My little spoonchula. I buy these. They have them at Aldi every now and then for about $3, and silicone coated. I love these because they work as a spatula but also as a little spoon. My hands are clean. You could even take something and just break up some of those clumps if you wanted to. There's nothing wrong with that. It just gets a little clumpy in the bag. You can also kind of massage the bag, and I did that and broke up some of the clumps, but I didn't get all of them. You can just take anything and just kind of, they're not hard clumps, you just kind of press on them and they come apart. It's like that. It doesn't really matter. It did say the batter would be, what did it say, slightly lumpy? Yeah, here we go. So we got that. Got most of the clumps anyway. There will probably be more as we add our stuff. So we have our 1/3 of a cup of milk in there, and it didn't say what kind of milk. I just had some 2% milk. And our egg, here we go, bloop, like that. And I'm just going to take my spoonchula and stir it up. I love these little things. You can use them for anything. They work as a spoon or a spatula, and they're small, so they don't take up a lot of room in the or in the drawer, and it mixes really fast. Look how fast that mixes up. And the price of eggs here anyway has come way down from where it was. Remember when they got so high? They still haven't come back down to where they were, but they're much cheaper now than they were for a while. Buy you a dozen eggs, you can make a whole lot with a dozen eggs. Here you can get a dozen eggs for around, well, depending on where you go. At Walmart last night they were $1.68 for a dozen of large eggs. At Aldi they're typically around $1.30, $1.35 for a dozen, but the price does fluctuate. But eggs are great. It's a great source of protein. If you're looking for some, food that you can prepare, just look for recipes that have egg in them. There's tons of them. Okay, so that's mixed up, and I do see a few little lumps, but not anything to worry about. Okay, we have our pan. Now it does say it's non-stick, but just to be on the safe side, it did say to grease the pan. I just went ahead and added a few little sprays of this Carlini Original Canola Oil Spray from Aldi. I mean, it won't hurt anything. And then we're supposed to just take our batter and fill the bottom. Now, keeping in mind, this pan is a little bit bigger than it should be. It'll just be a little bit flatter. I'm not really worried about it. It's okay. I'll make sure I get as much of it as possible. The great thing about these little spatulas too is that they're very flexible, so you can really get into that pan and get all that goodness out. It does a good job kind of scraping the sides and getting it, you know. So this is not going to be a thick layer of cornbread on the bottom. Not at all. I think I got about all I'm going to get. So we're just going to take our little spatula. I feel like I'm saying spatula too much. It's starting to sound weird. Makes me think of Dracula, spatula. It's Dracula's cousin. Okay. So I'm just taking it, and I've got a little bit of a concentration in the middle. Looks like grits. Makes me think of cheese grits. I love cheese grits. They're so good. Shoot, you could put a layer of grits in the bottom of this thing. That'd probably be good too. Okay. Now, we've done, I think that's step one. Yep, that's step one. So we're just going to set this aside for right now, and we are going to move on to the ground beef and onion, which we are going to be cooking in a skillet. For our next step, we want to cook our ground beef and our onion in a skillet until it is cooked through. Now, you will see this little thing here at the bottom of the container. This is the meat diaper. I call it the meat diaper. It absorbs the blood and stuff from the ground beef. Don't add that. Throw that away. You'd be surprised how many people don't know what to do with the meat diaper. Just toss it. Don't do anything with it. I'm going to break this up. It's just a little absorbent pad that, you know, that way you don't have the liquid going everywhere. But I find with the leaner ground beef like this, you don't have so much of that. I preheated this little pan. I'm just cutting it up a little bit. I'm going to add the onion in a second. I'm just breaking it up. I have a nice firm spatula for this. You use whatever you want. I like this one because it's nice and firm. It's not one of those floppy spatulas. These are hard to find to have this straight across. This is an oldie but a goodie right here. And my onions. And just keep moving it around. Mixing it up. It's coming along. Look at that. It smells good. I can definitely smell the onion. You want to just keep going until it's all cooked through, and we are definitely not there yet. bland right now, but we are going to add stuff to it. At this point, we're going to add the drained tomatoes, mixed vegetables, tomato paste, and Cajun seasoning, and then we're going to bring it to a boil. So we got I drained these in the can. Just hope this skillet's big enough. It may not be. Look at this bowl. We had these bowls when I was a kid. It has a little rooster in there. I found 2 of these at a church yard sale several years ago. I was so happy to find these. So it was just like the ones we had when I was a kid. Got our tomato paste. See how thick it is? It's very thick. Mix all that up. I almost forgot the seasoning. This would have been bland. I'm just eyeballing it. One more. Okay. So here we have our mixture. It sounds angry. It's bubbling like a witch's brew. It is kind of hard. I wish I had a bigger pan. This is the biggest pan I have. I'm just trying to keep it moving. It says you want to bring it to a boil and let it simmer for 5 minutes. Okay, I have let this simmer now for 5 minutes. So we're going to add it to our casserole dish over top of the cornbread mix. Okay, we are back with our little pan. Now, keep in mind when you're using these aluminum foil bake pans, you really want to support them under the bottom. You want to make sure you have good support because even though these are fairly sturdy, they can warp and your contents can spill out. So you just want to be careful with these that you have enough support underneath it. And you know, just be very careful when you're transporting it, especially once it has a bunch of heavy stuff in it. I'm just going to use a spoon to try to get some of this out because this pan is very heavy and I do not want to make a mess. I may make a mess anyway, but yeah, I don't want to drop the pan. So I'm just taking our mixture, spreading it around. It smells like beef stew. It smells pretty good. So you could just take the back of your spoon and just kind of spread it out. Okay, it's lighter now. I can pick it up better. It's very steamy. All right, spread that around. I think it's going to do fine in this pan. Look at that, we have plenty. Okay, now we are going to grate our cheese to go on here. I want to give you a little tip about that. I have 2 different kinds of graters. This one actually came from Dollar Tree, but it's a nice one. You can grate it small or like the slices or the larger grate here. And this one I bought at Walmart It's Oneida. And again, this is, it's made a little bit differently. This is fine in my opinion for just grating a little bit and you don't need a whole lot. But for grating 2 cups of cheddar cheese, I don't want to use this one. But I have a tip for you. If you have trouble with your cheese sticking to the grater, whether you use one of these or one of these, just take some nonstick cooking spray and just spray a little bit on both sides, like for that one, or for this one, you spray it on the outside and try to get some up in there. You don't have to add a lot, but it goes a long way towards helping keep the cheese from sticking to the grater. It really makes a difference. So I'm going to take this block of cheese and I'm going to go grate some until I get enough, and then we're going to cover this, and then it's going to be ready to bake. Okay, I just grated all this cheese, and look, I have sprayed a little bit of nonstick cooking spray on here. Look how much cheese stuck to my grater after grating all that. That's really great. No pun intended. So let's see if we have enough. We're just gonna sprinkle this on. That's some long shreds of cheese. But yeah, we're gonna. Do you have to? It doesn't say if you have to completely cover. I don't think it matters. You just do it however you want to. I think we're gonna call it good right here. I think that's fine. Okay. Now I haven't forgotten the green onions. Those actually, the chopped green onions go on the top as garnish after you bake it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully pick this up and go put it in the oven for 25 to 30 minutes, 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're going to bake this lovely little dish, and then we will bring it back and see how it looks. Okay, we have it out of the oven and it's nice and bubbly. Look how pretty this is. Now we're going to take our green onions here and sprinkle them on for garnish. Make it look pretty. It smells wonderful. It smells so good. I think that's enough. So we have this here. I'm going to take a little taste of it. Now I'm taking it with me, so I'm not going to take a huge sample. I will just get a little corner there. So I'm just going to take a little spoon, cut down into it right there. Let's scoop it out. Oh, and you can see the cornbread down there. Oh, it smells so good. So we got to try this. Okay, we finished the casserole. I'm afraid to hold it up because it's very heavy and it's in that aluminum pan, but you got to see what it looks like. I have it right here next to me. And we have some on our plate here. You can see the little bit of cornbread there, and our meat and our vegetables and everything. Oh my gosh, it really does smell good. And it was quick and easy to make. It doesn't take any crazy ingredients or anything like that. So let's try it. I want to make sure I get a little bit of that cornbread too. Look at that, it's so good. Piece hanging off the side. Let me try that again. Okay. Oh, that's nice. It has a little bit of that Cajun seasoning in it, and oh, it's so good with that bit of cornbread too. I like that. That's a nice touch with the cornbread, and then you have the cheese on top as well. That is delicious. I do kind of wish I'd added a little bit more of the seasoning to it, but I wasn't sure how much. I didn't know quite how much to add. A little bit more would have been better, but I would definitely make this again. It was so simple, and the ingredients are so simple. Those little mixed vegetables are good in there too. Mm-mm-mm. I love it. I really do. That is great. It's great and it's simple and it's so quick to make. Mmm, that is spectacular. That cornbread is a bit sweet. It is kind of on the sweet side, but it's fine. I mean, I think it's totally fine with this. So I give it a big thumbs up. I think it's fantastic. And if you've never baked or cooked anything, you could absolutely make this. I mean, I showed you all the steps. I'm going to put the link to the recipe in the description. So easy and so tasty. I'm actually thinking I'm going to make this to take to one of my family reunions. I think that would be a nice little, something a little different to take. Oh, yeah. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make some for that. Well, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed getting to see the little Mardi Gras casserole. It is so good and it's so simple. And thank you so much for being here. I really hope that you have a great day, and I'll see you again soon.